About a year ago, I switched to the Notes app, the Apple Notes app, for my student portfolios instead of Google Slides and Keynote. I also have some experience with Seesaw, and over the next few weeks, I'd like to break down each of those apps to help you decide what type of app you might want to use for your student portfolios. But I'm moving back to Google Slides, and that's just specific to my situation, my classroom, and I'm in a pretty unique situation, so that probably doesn't apply to you. But I wanted to give you an idea of how you might use Google Slides in your classroom or how it might be beneficial. First of all, if you're using Chromebooks, that's number one. Google Slides is going to own any other option, in my opinion, on a Chromebook. But two, some of the features of Google Slides are really awesome. First, I really like the organization of Google Slides. It comes out looking really nice. And they have so many different slide options and templates to choose from that it makes it really easy to look organized. You still have collaboration, just like you have on Keynote and Seesaw. You can do that with Notes if your students are allowed to have an Apple ID, but my students are not, so that takes away that option. And three, there's something about having an online server that's holding all of the student portfolios that you don't have to worry about. They can't get deleted. I can show you some tips with version history that gives you ideas of what you can accomplish or what you can do when students say, oh, I lost my stuff, or oh, I did it, I promise, it's supposed to be here. There are lots of cool tools for Google Slides specifically that make that a really helpful tool. So let's get out of the cold and back into the classroom and take a look at Google Slides with all of its features and how you might use Google Slides in your classroom to celebrate the student learning process. So I'm here on Google Slides with a blank presentation. It is the default, nothing. I've not created any special template or anything like that. I've just gone straight in on a default new blank presentation. The first thing I'm gonna do is hit my three dots in the top right corner, change my theme. I always have my students do this first because I don't want them thinking about this down the line and wanting to change it every single week, because some of the themes will just affect some of the font sizes and things like that. So the first thing I do is, all right, pick your theme, get real excited about it, and let's just pick something simple. There you go. Pick a theme right there. The second thing I'm gonna have them do is double tap in that title section and title it whatever class that they're doing it for. So we could say design portfolio or tech portfolio or whatever it is, okay? And then at the bottom, I have them put their first and last name, just so that it makes it a little easier. And then I'm also gonna have them title it. Now, they would have already done this when they created it on an iPad, but on a MacBook, you just double tap in the top left-hand corner and where it says Untitled Presentation, and you can give it a title. Usually I have my students title it with their last name first, and then whatever the name of the portfolio is. So last name dash design portfolio, for example. Then what I like to do is I like to have my students always use the title and body slide for all of their day-to-day stuff. But at the beginning of a week, I wanna make it really obvious where week 1 starts, where week 2 starts, where week 3 starts, because that makes grading way easier when I'm looking through portfolios. But 2, it's also really easy for the students to be able to find things and figure out stuff based on what they did in week 5 or week 7. And if week 5 matters, really matters, then week 8, they might want to look back at week 5 and be able to tell where that is. I create just a title page, or let me see, hold on, it's title only, I think is what it's called. Yep, right in the center, okay? And then I'll drag that down and put it right in the center. We can change the font size and make it nice and big. We can center it. All of those things I'm pretty sure you guys can figure out, but I'll go ahead and just say week 1. And then something I like to do is I like to have my students actually change the color of that slide. Always change the color of that slide. Then they can copy and paste it down the line and fix it. The reason that I have them change the color of their slide, it says change background here when you tap on the slide thumbnail, is because that makes it really easy to see when you're looking at all of, when you're looking at all of the other slides. So when you're looking through all the slides, you can find week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 amongst all the other slides, it's super easily because of that different color, right? So then I go and I'm gonna create a title and body in the top right-hand corner. My students know that very well because that's the phrase I'm always using, because that's the slide I always want them using. And the top is, of course, your title. So I might say week 1, day 1, or I might do today's date or something like that, whatever, you get the idea. And then my first thing that I do with my students, because I use portfolios for goal setting, for tracking student learning process and celebrating the process. For that reason, I like to have students set a goal and then use the same slide for an exit ticket. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this. I'm just gonna do a real basic one using a photo that I'm confident that I have in my camera roll about a project I did with my tech class last quarter, where they were creating kind of an app feel with Keynote. And so they were making it feel like an app by adding links to slides and things like that. And so, and I just use this as an example, but here you go. Let's just say today, my goal is to, and we'll say create the first slide. How about a title slide? There you go. For my app homepage. There you go. Boom. Okay. Then at the end of class, and I can stretch this and move it around so that it fits wherever my photo ends up being. But then at the end of class, I have them do their exit ticket and they take that photo, and here we go. LFC fan app, page 1, right? So then we have an evidence photo that kind of shows what they accomplished during class. And I can actually move this down and just make it look a little bit neater, a little easier to follow. And then every day could be just like this, which is awesome, okay? Now, this is just to get started, right? This is just the beginning phase, if you will, of what they're doing. There's a lot you can do with Google Slides, so let's get into some of the finer details. The first thing being, you need to add your teacher as a collaborator. That's what I have my students do all the time. And if you add a teacher as a collaborator, that means I have access to it anytime. It also means if they do something funky and accidentally delete some slides or something, I can go back on my end and I can fix that. So when I hit the person button at the top, I type in the person's last name, which would be my email, of course. And then when I type in my email, which is already shared, of course, I'm gonna add myself as a collaborator. It's not gonna let me actually send it because I'm already there, but it's important on the right-hand side here that I hit editor. You want that person who you're sharing it with to be an editor so the teacher can actually make adjustments to it. Sometimes this is really nice when I'm giving students feedback. What I wanna do is I want to add the things that I'm saying to them on their portfolio because it's a part of the learning process that they're doing. So I will actually take over from my computer on their slides, on their Google Slide presentation, on their portfolio, and I will type in things that I'm suggesting to them, and I'll title it under Wilcox meeting or meeting with Mr. Wilcox or whatever, right? Feedback, and that feedback can be super, super helpful. Okay. Now, another feature that I like in addition to adding collaborators is the comment option. I've clicked it here, the comment section here on my iPad, and you can see it. In the comment section, what I can do is I can add comments to photos, to text, or to the slide in general. And those comments can be feedback I can give when students are not in the classroom. I really, really prefer one-on-one feedback. I've been trying that, and I actually have a video, if you look at my channel, where I did it every single day for an entire month. I'm a big fan of one-on-one feedback. I think it's really valuable to actually use language to describe what you're typing and really get some actual intonation to what you're saying. That way the students aren't just interpreting off the top of their head, but they're actually able to put it together with you there in person and see the look on your face as you say it to them and all of that good stuff. And even though I do really like one-on-one feedback, comments can be really, really helpful. When you're adding comments to things, I typically like to use it for real basic feedback. I don't want to have huge sections typed. That's not worth my time. Really, that's probably best used as a one-on-one conversation. But maybe there's a slight tweak I want someone to make in the formatting of their portfolio to make it easier to follow. Or maybe I want to challenge them with the goal that they're setting. In my class, I have my students set realistic and specific goals, and we define what realistic and specific look like. And so sometimes students set goals and they're just like a little bit vanilla. And so I might comment on someone's goal and say, how would we know if you accomplished that? Or what are some details that would help you know if that goal was accomplished by the end of the class period? And just, I don't know. I'm making it sound more complicated than it really is. Adding just small comments can be really helpful, and there's a comments button there. You can add comments at any point in time just by tapping on an object, and it says add comment right there, as you can see on my screen. So let's fast forward real quick. Let's do, in fact, I'm gonna do some copy and pasting here, and let's just pretend for a minute that I've now done 5 days of this, right? This is where it can get really cool. Maybe on the 5th day of the week, instead of having them do a normal exit ticket with a photo that shows what they accomplished in class, which is very helpful, or maybe in addition to a photo, you say, I want them to do a reflection. All right, so let's say that you want to do a week 1 reflection with your students, and instead of doing the normal exit ticket, of course, right? Now, some of my students, when it comes to reflection especially, they're like me and they're verbal processors, and typing it all out can sometimes be a little bit difficult. So rather than typing it out, I want to show you, this is an important workaround. Anytime your students do a video of any sort, they have to be able to put it in. And if they're using iPads, they're not going to be able to put the video in from their iPad. Unfortunately, they will only allow you to add photos at this time via the iPad. You can do this on a MacBook. So if you have a set of MacBooks, or if you have a set of Mac computers, or maybe even just a set of Mac minis, this will work with all of those. They can just add a video straight in. However, on an iPad, for some reason, they don't allow that. Keynote does, by the way, so a little side shout out if you're like, I really need videos as a part of my student portfolios. Maybe Keynote's a better option for you, or the Notes app, or Seesaw. But for Google Slides, if you're wanting to add a video, let me show you how you do that. Now, because I'm currently screen recording, I cannot actually shoot a video, so let's just do a little bit of pretending and pretend that we just shot a video, okay? If we shot a video, then what we would need is something to link the video to on your slide. So I'm just gonna add a shape, real simple. I'm gonna add a little triangle. So it's gonna be like a play button, right? And then here you go. This is gonna be like, wait a second. Are you like making a YouTube? Yes, I am making a YouTube shape. I'm gonna take this rounded object here. We need to square it. Why can't I find the square? Well, it's close enough, right? I'm gonna go ahead and send that to the back. Then I have that play button right in the middle, and then we can change the colors, of course. If we wanna make it, like a dark gray and then a light gray. This part, of course, is not important. Okay, this part just doesn't matter, right? But let's say, there you go. I've got my play button, and I might even write in my week reflection. I usually have students do this. Watch my reflection, okay? The only reason I put that is because if students have the option of doing a video and they want to, I want them to know how to actually tell me that they did a video, right? Then on that play button, I'm gonna put insert link, okay? Now, there's a link that needs to go here, and we have not created that link, okay? This is something you're gonna have to do on your own time a little bit, but if you have Google Drive, that's the best place, in my opinion, to get a link for Google Slides. So upload the video to Google Drive. Once it's done uploading, you can hit the 3 dots, and then you can turn on link sharing and copy that link. That link you then put here, and you paste it, attach it to that play button. Then, when you're in presentation mode, this is important, you have to be in presentation mode. When you're in presentation mode, If you click that play button, it will take you to your video, which is awesome. So that is how you might use Google Slides in your classroom. There are lots of other ideas out there. Of course, there are a lot of teachers that have done much better than what I've created here. But this is just to get you started, and then you can start letting students kind of add some of the creativity to it and start to add some of their own flair. And then of course, you have students who will come up with their own celebration of the learning process and the types of photos they're gonna add, the types of text they're going to write. But this is a really easy place for all of us to collaborate and work together on one place, and it's organized by slide, which makes it really easy as a teacher to follow along with where the students are.